The Eiffel Tower, that enduring symbol that seems to somehow define Paris. If you were to stand at the top and look out, you can see some of the city's famous sights. The Arc de Triomphe, the Louvre, and the bustling street cafes. If you look more closely, you might just be able to see the Paris suburbs in the distance, and places like Épinay. Everything about this picture suggests ordinary, a peaceful suburb. It could be anywhere. 3 years ago, Épinay and nearby suburbs were seething. Riots, cars burning, clashes with police. They were young people, angry young people, mostly from the large North African community in France. There was literally a ring of fire around Paris.
Big trouble.
Rabat Sarail knows. He was there.
Fights between kids and cops, cars burning, a lot of trouble, like a little civil war.
The violence spread across the country. The Prime Minister declared a state of emergency. Thousands of people were brought in. But it was brought under control by people like Rabat. Born in Algeria, he immigrated to France with his parents when he was 4. He did time in prison for dealing drugs, but eventually changed his ways. By 2005, he was a respected leader in this working-class suburb, and the local authorities thought he might be able to help calm things down. They were right.
Je demande, donne-le à Mehdi, je le prends chez Mehdi.
It is for Rabat a source of pain, and he bitterly notes the irony of how the authorities had to turn to him, the once convicted drug dealer, when things got hot. I do my best to feel French, he says, to convince myself that I am French, but he says the treatment I receive from all institutions, the discrimination, goes against my efforts to feel French.
In the French context, we refer to French citizens who are perceived as members of minority groups as being third-generation immigrants. That's the strongest way to tell them you do not belong.
And so in the mostly Arab suburbs, there is a strong feeling of alienation. These youths don't admit to taking part in the riots, only that they were there. Ask them about French society, the contempt is plain to see.
Does he feel French?
Est-ce que tu te sens français?
Non. Does he feel French?
Est-ce que tu te sens français?
No.
The world they all live in is a world away from the Paris you know. Rabat took me on a tour of this world, and within a few minutes it was apparent how different it is. This is gangland. He asks Rabat what we're doing and says they don't like cameras. Rabat doesn't flinch and reminds the youngster that he was on the streets before he was born, and to tell his bosses that Rabat Sarail says hello. We drive on. The clinic where Rabat was born, closed now. He says because people just didn't have the money to pay for medical treatment. The closest clinic now is 10 miles away. I guess nobody will be born in Épinay anymore, he jokes. He took me to his old high school. For him, the education system is the biggest failure. He says for my first 3 years in high school, I was never in a class where we finished the program. Talk to the school-age kids today, and it seems things haven't changed. They take young teachers just out of school, he says. They send them here, and they're not prepared to deal with the problems. Teachers go on strike, and very often are not even present. 2 generations who both say that the education system in this Arab immigrant community is dead. Rabat says it killed his dream. He wanted to be a surgeon. A dream fulfilled by Dr. Hakim Benamer, grandson of an Algerian laborer, now one of the top cardiologists in France.
Of course, it's not easy when you are from Algeria in France. You know that. That's not easy at all. But you can do it. But it's more difficult for you.
Leila Mahroun is a successful Algerian author. She has lived in Paris the last 17 years, but she says she sees examples of discrimination almost every day.
If you talk in Arab in a bus in Paris, they look at you they are not happy.
As for Rabat, he says it's fine if you're exceptional, perhaps a great athlete.
Un mec comme moi, par exemple.
For a guy like me, if I win the World Cup or a gold medal, people will call me the Frenchman, he says. If you get caught drunk driving, they call you the Frenchman of Algerian origin. Perhaps a soccer star will emerge from this league in Paris, although that's not the point. Rabat started it a few years ago because he wanted to teach players how to be good citizens. It's not easy. They may be citizens of France, but they don't feel accepted by society. Rabat isn't sure how much longer he can keep them playing soccer and off the streets. I'm Martin Seemungal reporting for Worldfocus in Paris.